D.grayman is a shonen manga that started back in 2004, and it holds a special place in my heart because it was my very first shonen manga. In fact, I think this manga in particular is what started me down the path of weebdom, because when I found it in the kids section, I'm not sure why D.grayman was in the kids section, it was the edgiest thing I had ever read, with main characters just dying left, right, and center, and the best part about it is that it takes place in a Victorian-styled era. It has some gothic horror to it, making the characters and the villains look extremely classy, all the while having this really grotesque form about it. It was extremely entertaining. So where are we with D.grayman in 2020? It's been almost 2 decades since the original manga started in the Weekly Shonen Jump publication. So I said Weekly Shonen Jump, right? So I might be saying, oh, it's been almost 2 decades. There must be like a ton of chapters. Well, actually, no. There's been like almost no chapters for a really, really long time. But this is it. 2020 is the year. You need to pick up D.grayman right now if you dropped it, because things are looking on the up and up. So if you are familiar with the D.grayman mythos, and by mythos I mean the weirdness surrounding the publication of this series, you will know that the series used to be weekly, and then it switched to monthly, and then it switched to bi-monthly, and now it's quarterly releases. And sometimes the author misses a quarterly release. Sometimes we have to wait half a year just to get a new chapter, but things are about to change. See, the author has recreated her Instagram account. She previously deleted it after how bad the anime adaptation was. Oh, what happened, Roion? Well, essentially, to make a long story shorter, what happened was the author criticized how bad the adaptation was in like a Instagram post, and because she criticized how bad the adaptation was, she essentially just threw dirt or just threw shit at the people who were working on her property. Not exactly the thing you want to do for someone working on your adaptation. If you don't agree with your adaptation, there is no need for you to publicly slander these people working on your publication, especially the studio, right? So ultimately, being the wonderful and nice, I guess, Japanese person that she is, she deleted her Instagram, so no one will ever know what happened that day. But, you know, since the internet never forgets, here I am right now telling you this story. But in the recent year, in 2020, she has recreated her Instagram account, not to mention the fact that we got a new chapter this January 2020, and it has been confirmed that we are getting another chapter this April 27th, 2020. So the new chapter is right around the corner. We might get some questions actually answered for once, and it looks like the story is actually coming to a close. I say that even though the story is really just ramping up, but it looks like they're moving at a breakneck pace because D.grayman, unlike a lot of other shonens, is extremely well paced. The author has really thought of everything when she first started the series. A lot of the plot threads that she spun out at the beginning of the series are finally being tied together. Everything just kind of connects. If you look at really long running shonen series, there's a huge disconnect because of the fact that the author never expected it to go so long, or the author never thought of how long it could get. For example, Nanatsu no Taizai, I love a good 7 Deadly Sins. The original was really, really good, but you can tell there's literally a point in the story where it's like, oh, I had to seal away my power. Oh, I had to seal away my power. That's right, they played the I had to seal away my power not once, but twice. So you know the author's running out of ideas, and you know like the mystery, the underlying mystery of what's going on has been solved. They're just trying to like string things together. The biggest offenders of this are when stories do the whole, oh, I was just trying to protect you from an even greater evil. So unless D.grayman pulls that, which I doubt it will, it looks like it's going in a really good direction. So that's enough about real life drama. Let's talk about the actual series. Let's talk about D.grayman. Do you remember anything about D.grayman? You probably don't, so let's start with the premise. As I said before, this is demons versus humans. But what's the big catch? Sure, it's in the Victorian era. What makes it so good? The thing that makes it so different and so unique is, get this, the church are the good guys. That's right, the church is not evil in this story. If you have like a lot of Japanese RPGs, if you have a lot of anime watched under your belt, you will know that the church is almost always evil. This is like the main exception that really drew me towards D.grayman, is all the church imagery stuff. When I first picked it up, I was like, what the hell is this? I'm expecting the church to be evil, but the church wasn't evil. So now that you kind of remember the premise, let's talk about the raison d'etre for D.grayman. I don't really know what it's called. I don't know if someone has kind of coined a term for this, but essentially it's what the point of the story is. It's what our main character wants to accomplish. If we have One Piece, they want to find the One Piece. If it's Naruto, he wants to become Hokage. If we're talking about Kimetsu no Yaiba, he wants to turn his sister back into a human. I'm talking about the main driving force behind the story. So what is the main driving force behind the story? Does it tie back into the name D.grayman? First off, we still don't know why it's called D.grayman. It's been a really long time. It's been almost 17 years, and we still haven't gotten to that part yet. Even Attack on Titan had Eren Yeager literally say, "I am the Shingeki no Kyojin." Translator's note, Shingeki no Kyojin means Attack on Titan. And that is essentially where I dropped Attack on Titan, but I digress. Going back to D.grayman, what is the point? Why is Alan Walker the main character? Why does he do the things he does? He does it because by defeating an Akuma, by killing it, he is able to free their soul. So this begs the question, what is an Akuma in the D.grayman universe? What is a demon? A demon within the D.grayman universe is created only when there's a great tragedy. When there's a tragedy, someone is going to mourn their death. And what happens is the Millennium Earl, who is the villain, will show up and be like, yo, I can bring that person who died back to life. And you're going to agree because you're going to be filled with grief. You're going to be like, yo, bring my buddy back to life, please. So here's how it usually plays out. The person prays for the soul to come back. The soul then comes back, but normally you wouldn't be able to see it, right? But what happens is the Millennium Earl then snatches up the soul and then stuffs it inside a mechanical skeleton. The mechanical skeleton is then ordered, which is now being powered by your friend's soul, is then ordered to murder you and then wear your skin over top its mechanical skeletonness. So they're essentially Terminators from the movie Terminator, except that they're being powered by the tormented soul of your loved one, and then they're being forced to kill you. That way, your loved one knows you the most, right? The loved one knows how you would react. So by taking their soul, he is able to create like a puppet that can replace you in regular society and pretend to be you and kill the people around you, thus creating more tragedy and more opportunities for the Millennium Earl to create more Akuma. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. To put it in Zoomer terms, essentially D.grayman is like Kimetsu no Yaiba, where only Muzan or only the Millennium Earl can create Akuma/demons. So if we could just defeat the Millennium Earl, then we would just kill all the Akuma right off the bat. So it's kind of a cut off the head of the snake and hopefully the body will go with it type deal. However, in D.grayman, this kind of also applies to the good guys because the good guys are powered by this thing called innocence. There's approximately like, I think 109 innocence in the world. And when I say innocence, it's really a type of anti-Akuma weapon. And it could be anything. It could be like a ring. It could be like a sword. It could even be your hand. Like innocence is essentially whatever the author wants it to be. It could be a super powered weapon that essentially provides cool and epic shonen battles. However, the innocences are actually being powered by one main innocence called the heart. If the villain can destroy the heart before the good guys, the exorcists who use the innocence, can defeat him, then he is going to essentially wipe out all of humanity because there's no way to destroy Akuma with modern ballistic weaponry. That's right, the Akuma use guns, except for our guns don't work on them even though their guns work on us. And there is one more thing that we need to talk about before we talk about the recent developments in the manga, because that's what I really want to talk about. We need to talk about the 13 Apostles of Noah, because the story of D.grayman, as you can tell already, has a lot of religious symbolism, and it takes place 7,000 years after the great flood of Noah's Ark. So the world was destroyed before. The world was in fact decimated before by something. We don't know what it is. And the survivors from that time are called the Noah. They're the original humans. And they're just regular people like you and me. But one day they awaken. They see like a memory of what the world used to be. And this memory like torments them. It's kind of like eldritchy. It kind of gets a lot of eldritch truth things. This manga, D.grayman, actually has a lot of connections to kind of gothic horror. You see the eldritch truth. This is the kind of the closest thing we're going to get to maybe a Bloodborne type anime, so maybe that would sell you on it. But essentially what happens is these people see some kind of eldritch truth that warps their minds and gives them superpowers. They get superpowers because they become the original humans. The original humans made by God were essentially superpowered humans. Like they have super abilities that we cannot comprehend because they were made in God's image or something. It's not really that well explained. All you have to know is that it creates really epic shonen battles. Okay, actually, now that I re-listened to my explanations, these are not very good explanations. I urge you to go out and read the manga instead of watching the anime, because the anime was made during the One Piece time where like there was a lot of filler and they would stretch out like these scenes that would take like maybe 1 or 2 pages into like full-blown episodes. For example, in One Piece, when you know who dies, they stretch that out for like 6 episodes. Like the fist connects with his back, that's like episode maybe 600 something, and then the fist goes through his chest, and that's like 602, and then 603 the fist finally goes through him, and then for like the next 2 episodes everyone is just like dumbfounded. It's really slow. The pacing in the anime is not that great, albeit it's a fine adaptation. If you have the time, you should definitely watch it, but if you don't have the time, just read the manga. The manga is extremely good. Actually, before we go any further, I want to quickly touch upon redesigns. What the hell is this? Why does he look like a man-whore? That's not what my boy Tiki used to look like. Why does he look like this? Where's his top hat? Where's his top hat? What happened to his top hat? What happened to his really nice suit? They got rid of his nice suit. Now he's wearing this weird white man-whore thing. Like, what is going on, man? Like, I'm so happy that the newest chapters brought him back to his old look. I hate it. I absolutely hated the new look they put on him. With regards to what is going on in the story now, essentially, we're told that the Millennium Earl vanished about 34 years ago for a period of 17 years. So what happened was the Earl split himself into 2 people. We don't know why that happened. All we know is that it did in fact happen. He split into Mana and Nia. Wait for it. D. Campbell. Mana and Nia D. Campbell. Monkey D. Luffy. Portgaza D. Ace. Gold D. Roger. Could this be the legacy of D? Nah, I'm just messing with you. I thought it'd be funny to make a reference to One Piece. But essentially what happens is, by splitting into 2 people, one of the halves is like, yo, we can leave the whole Millennium Earl life behind us. The other guy's like, no, I need to fulfill my destiny and destroy the world. That, of course, being Mana. Mana then kills Nia because Nia's like, no, we don't need to do this. And upon killing Nia, he consumes him. I believe he cannibalizes, like literally eats Nia. And then, consumed with remorse, he gets like a split personality. He just blows his own head off. He just completely blows his own head off. He disintegrates his own head. But by doing so, he then regenerates it because, you know, he's the Millennium Earl. And by regenerating his head, he forgets who he is. He just gets amnesia. He doesn't know what happened. So he just wanders the world as Mana Walker, pretending to be a traveling clown. And this is where he meets Alan Walker, and this is where the story of D.grayman starts. And this is exactly where we are in the latest chapter. This brings up so many questions, like, why did the Earl split apart? What caused this to happen in the first place? What is this pillar they keep talking about? Is the Earl going to become the pillar? Is the Earl in fact just being controlled by the Noah? Are the Noah manipulating the Earl? Or is it the Earl that's manipulating the Noah? Like, we still have no idea what is going on. What is the grand conspiracy that's being orchestrated in D.grayman? And that's what brings me so much pain. If you have any conspiracy theories as to what is really going on, like maybe the Millennium Earl is actually using innocence, because we've seen that the innocence, when you expel it into your body and it turns into a weapon, it leaves the same scars that the Noah has. Like, something is connecting the innocence back to the Noah. There's some missing link we just don't know yet. If you have any conspiracy theories, just leave them down in the comments below. I love reading those things, and that's really all I have to say about D.grayman. Great things are to come. We're on like the cusp of a great revolution. I can feel it. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.